Welcome back to the Impassioned Caregiver and Spec here. I enjoy making him happy. He is a joy in our life and hopefully a little fun in your life. So we're now at tips on being an advocate for yourself and others section. If we were in person together or doing a video about advocating, the advocate caregiver would be flashing this info on a big screen behind me. Oh, maybe we can do a special tech thing and put it over. I can't promise anything, but maybe a tiny bit of post-production. But anyway, what you would see flashing behind me or on the screen would be many doctors are burnt out, fed up, and want to change. Concierge doc services, sick banks at companies. Keep a timeline of symptoms and list of all your meds. Do research before saying yes to a new drug. Get a second opinion. See different specialists. Ask about caseworkers. Healthcare Rights Initiative. Diet. End of visit summary. Programs for free meds. FEMLA, LTD, SSD. Appeals. Holy cows. So many acronyms. So much information. Thanks for listening to that rant. And visually it looks nice. I might print it out and put it in the comments. So here we go to our 5-section section. What was the health issue? Okay, so the health issue in the previous piece, the book review, lupus, multiple sclerosis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, possible brain encephalitis, transient ischemic attack, TIA, doctor's dismissiveness of difficult patient. That's me, unfortunately. I'm sure if I looked in notes now in Oregon, you are allowed to see doctor notes. I'm sure previously there's a note, pain in the butt patient, obnoxious patient, never non-compliant, because I do listen and I do what they say because I do want to get better. But am I difficult? Yes. And I feel for good reason. So it's true, many doctors are burnt out, fed up, and want to change. They know the system is broken and have not been listened to either. Wheels of change move so very slowly. Along this path, though, in the spirit of giving better service, came the concept of concierge doctor clinics. The patient pays a fee to join almost what's like a health co-op. I belonged to one briefly. Unfortunately, it just costs too darn much. I can't say this enough. Keep a timeline of your symptoms or your loved one's symptoms, whether it's on your phone, in a notebook. Better keep it in 2 places. A list of medications, because lots of times in my charts, they just have random meds, they have old meds. Keep your own current list. And it needs to be in your health journal. In addition to, you want to have a list of procedures along with specialists you've seen. Before saying yes to a drug, look at the small print. Think about how you've reacted or maybe not reacted to drugs in the past. In my family, we tend to be very sensitive to drugs. This is not the case with everyone. Ask if you can change your diet first before taking meds. In the world of MS, there are 2 doctors who have researched diets which have made huge improvements with patients. The fascinating thing is one is all vegetarian. The other is meat-based. Both have claimed to have cured themselves from multiple sclerosis. We are unique beings whose bodies operate in their own fashion. Before you start a drug, can you exercise more? Some diabetes or high blood pressure, sometimes in diabetes or high blood pressure, at the beginning stages, it can be controlled by these types of adjustments. With MS, doctors definitely spoke about vitamin D supplementation. There's a relationship between illness and D. If your D level is low, it's not good. It's a simple blood test. Have it done, especially if you live in the Pacific Northwest with the cloudy winters. There's definitely a linkage between sun and vitamin D, and your body does not work as well with very low levels. At one point, I was down to 15, and I think the normal's 50 to 80, and I was 15 when I first moved out across the country. In some cases, when there's so many symptoms, get consults with different specialists. For example, with lupus, a patient would see a rheumatologist, maybe an endocrinologist. If the disease is attacking your kidneys, add nephrologist. If there's concern that the disorder has gone to your brain, a neurologist. It's overwhelming. Yes, it is. That's why you talk to people. That's why you get support. That's why you're constantly asking questions. So once you have some test results, get a second opinion. Sometimes a third is in order. This consult may have to come out of pocket, I'm sorry to say. Insurance should pay for second opinion, but I don't believe they pay for third. There are medical centers around the country which specializes in certain disorders. It might be worth it to do a consult at one of these places. There's also a clinic that specializes in rare and as yet undiagnosed disease. Again, look in the comments. The problem with the healthcare system as it is, many doctors don't see you as the whole person. They're only looking at the small bit which they have expertise in. I've gone through frustrating times because some specialists won't communicate with each other to understand your condition. Naturopaths, along with functional medicine doctors, look at patients systemically. Dr. Terry Walls is a proponent of this type of treatment. Many experts are coming to the conclusion that disease is due to inflammation. One can explore a variety of these diets. Many people feel much better when they cut out gluten. This is or sugar too. All this is individualized. We are unique beings. Do research. Speak with your doctor. Yes. To remind you of what you need to do, always ask for an end of visit summary. If the practitioner has an electronic system like MyChart, sign up. Get it on your phone. It's even better. Then you can look at test results right away, or if you're traveling. Test results, list of drugs, along with your doctors in one place is very helpful, especially if you're assisting someone else, whether it's your loved one or a parent. I was in my mom's MyChart across the country. So important. I can't get into all her specialists, but I got into one. You need to be able to do that. Patients can get nervous when they go to the doctors. Information can be overwhelming. Take notes. Whoever is with you should take notes with your permission. Have them ask questions because you're asking, but they may think of something that you did not think of. This approach also helps. So after the appointment, you can discuss what happened. Sometimes after a discussion, my husband and I will have more questions because he'll say, I think I might have heard this. And I'll say, well, I think I heard this. And it'll prompt more discussion, which is so important. One can drop a non-urgent question to the office. Obviously, if it's urgent, call the office. Ask for clarification. Do not rely on Dr. Google. And Dr. Google can be scary. You know, you go down those rabbit holes. Sometimes it's good to get a small snapshot of something, but don't rely on the internet. Specialists. Pros and cons. They know their one particular subject really, really well. This can lead them to having tunnel vision. You know, we all have tunnel vision on something. In my case, I feel like my eye doctor should have caught the possibility of multiple sclerosis sooner. Another instance with me, my rheumatologist should have helped / defended me when my primary doc said, quote, I'll just give you speed. Don't destroy your career. In other words, I don't know what you have, but let's just throw drugs at it. Like, holy cows, this was my first shot at teaching, and I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't function. And he's just like, let's speed your system up, baby. Make it through the end of the year. And maybe in his mind he was helping me, but no, I nearly died previously. I wasn't going to friggin' almost die again. So after this doctor visit, I called my rheumatologist, the person who did blood work to monitor my lupus markers. Telling them what I thought was happening, they said, I don't handle those kind of symptoms. But like, okay, so you treat me for a chronic illness. Can I have a referral to another specialist or to someone who treats those symptoms. No response from their office. They are just like, I don't know what you're going through. I'm going to stay in my own lane. As I said before, Dr. Terry Walls is a proponent of functional medicine in the simplest form. The practitioners examine the whole body system, similar to how like naturopaths practice. Gosh, reading the above section was exhausting. This is exactly what Dr. Montori was advocating about. Having an illness is a full-time job. Remember, pace yourself. Like I mentioned previously, the spoon theory. It was put out by a lupus patient. More recently, a nurse, Melinda Mallet, used a marble analogy for energy and lack of. The info will be in the comments. She explained chronic fatigue to children through marbles in a jar. One of my therapists explained that to me as well. Each task is a marble. So only so many marbles can fit into that jar each day. Once it's filled, that is it. Can be frustrating, but it works. One thing that greatly assisted me with fatigue, while also aiding me in avoiding meltdowns, not totally, I still had a few, was having a 2-page monthly calendar, the old-fashioned paper kind. So when planning out my month, if there's going to be a social activity on a Wednesday, then nothing can happen on Tuesday, the day before. And maybe nothing on Thursday either. Energy needed to be conserved. Tomorrow I'm going to be exhausted after this, but I want to bang these out, baby. So sometimes it was frustrating as heck. Plans for energy use help prevent flares. Now we're at the legal insurance section. Ask your human resource HR benefit specialist questions. The thing that prevented us from going bankrupt are having to sell our house, which is a reality for so many Americans, and if we had to leave this neighborhood, it would take us away from our support system. So what saved us was the union's sick bank. When I was first diagnosed with MS, I attempted to work half-time. FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, we've talked about that previously. I'll put another link in the comments. So FMLA would allow me this accommodation without penalty to my job, but if I wasn't working full hours, I'd have to pay out of pocket for mine and my husband's health insurance. And we couldn't let our insurance lapse. Both of us needed regular follow-up care. MRIs are expensive. I was told I would need them regularly. And we didn't have all that extra cash, especially if I was working part-time, to pay the insurance premium. So a good HR person is invaluable. Unfortunately, the woman who helped me the following year, she was laid off because she didn't have seniority. This was terrible for all the employees who needed the guidance after me, because no one truly knew what to do, because I asked some of my former colleagues when they had issues, and they're like, oh, the new person just has no clue. This was a huge disservice to the workers. Key highlights worth repeating. If your company offers you long-term disability, take it. Doesn't matter how much it costs, and truly it usually costs hardly anything. God forbid you get sick, you can never buy it on your own again. Same with life insurance. Take it. When you get that benefits package, take all the options. To me, short-term disability never seemed worth it. You make your own decision, because it's the small window of time before long-term kicks in, but make sure you read all the details and see if it's right for you. That said, save money. Make sure you have a couple months rent in the bank. You never know when a curveball is going to come your way. Be prepared. So now we're at the support writing section. So it was during this time that I became more active with the narrative medicine group in the Pacific Northwest. Before we went to the Midwest clinic, my husband's friends looked over his medical records. They asked their friend to give advice. You know, if you know someone, ask them. Pull out the stops. Don't, and don't be disappointed if you get a no for an answer. It's better you asked and got no than you didn't ask at all. There's a lot of untapped knowledge out there. As long as you politely frame a question, there's no harm in asking. Most people feel powerless when friends or family are experiencing a medical crisis. So usually people are thrilled when you present an assignment rather than, I'm not sure how you can help. If there's someone there that can give advice, that is one concrete way of helping. We're now at the spiritual section. Some people feel God has a plan for them, no matter how tough things get. Even though I consider myself spiritual, I'm spiritual enough to change from one religion to another, I don't have that kind of certainty. You know what? It's okay. We're all on our own journey. Remember the golden rule? Treat others the way you want to be treated. With spirituality, people refer to it as a practice. As much as it hurts me to say, I'm still practicing. Meditation, prayer, whatever's going to get you in a good mindset, do it. One thing that the narrative medicine movement did for me was help me to see my medical team as people. That was really important. Many times in the past, I struggled to remember that. Just like you don't want to be seen as symptoms, they don't want to be seen as an enemy or someone who's not going to work for you. So, it took a while, but I've come to that. We're now at the grateful section. I'm so grateful that my husband's a flexible thinker. Once we knew my illness was going to be longer than expected, we brainstormed on how we could get through it. I'm grateful that we have a large network of friends that get us through all these challenges. No one can do it alone. Again, we've reached the end of a chapter. There's going to be a music playlist. There's going to be all the citations. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That good old YouTube mantra, like, subscribe, and share it with people who use this. This is the whole goal. Create community, help people that are like overwhelmed, help them reach out, give them resources, try and make their lives a bit better. Thanks for watching. See you next time.